Hello, and welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Stephen Einerstein. Thank y'all for joining me tonight as we do today's daily reading from James Allen's Daily Meditation. This will be fresh to you and fresh to me, meaning that you'll get my genuine response, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading, as this will be the first time that I hear it or read it right here on this podcast with y'all. So I am looking forward to it. It's been a great first half of December. Let's see how the second half goes. Let's get right into it. This is December 16th reading from James Allen's Daily Meditation. Perfect purity of heart is a condition of emancipation from all the cravings and indulgences of self. There is a distinction between a worldly life and a religious life. He who is daily following his impure inclinations with no wish to give them up is irreligious, while he who is daily controlling and purging away his impure inclinations is religious. The religious man should curb his passions and the indulgence of his desires, for that is what constitutes religion. He must learn to see men and things as they are, and must perceive that they are living in accordance with their nature and their right of choosing their path as intelligent human beings. He must never intrude his rules of life upon them, and never presume to be, or even think of himself as being, on a higher plane than they are. He must learn to put himself in their place, and to see from their standpoint. The lover of truth must be a lover of men. That's awesome. That's a reading, I would say, to sum this up, is about humility. And I love that. This is a beautiful reading about what we should be doing, but just because we're doing that does not mean we get the right to judge others who are not. And that's just so important to remember. That's so important to realize. And that self-righteousness can sneak in really easily at the end of the day. It really can. So let's go through this again, line by line. Perfect purity of heart is a condition of emancipation from all of the crazy cravings and indulgences of self. So we're talking about that purification process to kick this off with, right? That process we strive to go through, that process that we are engaging in to strive to be more like our ideal, to be more like our image of the God of our understanding, what good we are working towards, right? So, condition of emancipation from all cravings and indulgences of self. Now, this does not only mean like cravings, like desires for sex, desires for drugs, desires for alcohol, any of that kind of stuff, right? This can be the indulgences of self, is our self-opinion, the opinions of others, our egos, our perspectives, like anything that we can separate ourselves from others with is self. There is a distinction between a worldly life and a religious life. Okay, so one that's lived of this world, of this material world, of this desire, pleasure-filled world, and then one that is of a religious living. He who is daily following his impure inclinations with no wish to give them up is irreligious, the opposite of religious, right? While he who is daily controlling and purging away his impure inclinations is religious. Now, when we say religious, we mean a practice of a discipline. We mean a practice of this purification process. This is not established religion, necessarily, we're talking about, but a purification practice is a religious practice. So anyone who's purging away his impure inclinations is religious, of religion, in the sense of practicing a daily spiritual practice. Not a declared religion, but a spiritual practice. The religious man should curb his passions and the indulgence of his desires, for that is what constitutes religion. Putting yourself in service to the God of your understanding, the greater good, whatever that might be, right? That is the religious idea, right? To be of service to God, to truth, to good, to society, to whatever it is, the nature, your creator, that energy, whatever. I go through this list of things all the time because it can be whatever you choose it to be, of course. This is a God of your understanding. But if you have that, there's going to be some striving in your some striving that occurs to correct your own behaviors, some striving that occurs to correct your own way of living, to more align it with this following. And now this one's great. He must learn to see men and things as they are, and must perceive that they are living in accordance with their nature and their right of choosing their path as intelligent human beings. Self-righteousness is just a hell of a thing to sneak into anyone's life. It really is. Self-righteousness is a very powerful thing. It is a very sneaky thing, and our ego just wraps right up into it, and we're roaring, ready to go, to get up on a soapbox and be judgmental of others. It's happened to me in many ways, and I've been humbled sometimes by others, by life, and then I've also caught it and realized it and turned that around and brought myself back to reality. But it's a continuing sacrifice of self to remember these things, to learn and see men and things as they are, and must perceive that they are living in accordance with their nature. Like, they're living in their animalistic, selfish ways still. That really is the nature of part of them, right? They haven't decided or been informed enough to desire to change, to follow that higher nature, that spiritual nature within them. They have the right to choose these things. They have the right to have their own path. And we don't get to judge them or condemn them for that. We simply just say, hey, this is what's happening. They're just doing what they're doing the best they can, and that's it. He must never intrude his rules of life upon them. This is so important. I thought it was my job actually multiple points in my recovery and spirituality. I thought it was my job to tell people how to live. In the sense, someone's going through something and I immediately respond with, well, you're doing this wrong, a list of things. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to impose my will or opinion on anyone else, especially when it's not asked for, right? Like, these are things we have to keep in mind. Like, my ego can get attached and say, well, this is the right thing for them. I don't know that. I can tell you from my experience, following truth has worked for me, but that has to be a decision they have to make and have the willingness to make it. I do not get to intrude my rules of life upon someone else. They can adopt them after they see them work in my life. That's the best way to spread them, to share them. But I don't get to just interject. And never presume to be or even think of himself as being on a higher plane than they are. There we go. We are human beings with the same thought of God within us, right? Same nature within us, same cosmic energy, same source energy, same creator. However you want to phrase that, we were all created equally here. We were all in a level playing field, regardless of what path we are choosing to seek. We are all in that same playing field, and that is of the utmost importance to remember. Because as soon as you begin to separate yourself from others, suddenly things don't go so well. He must learn to put himself in their place and to see from their standpoint. Don't get on a soapbox so high you cannot remember where you came from, and you cannot have empathy and compassion enough for another human being to take their perspective. Don't get so far away from life and your origins that gets lost. Now, the last line, the lover of truth must be the lover of men, because men is illustrated through truth, or truth is illustrated through men. We get to pick up that mantle and walk with it, and we get to grow with it, and we get to show in our lives what it means and how it affects us and how we grow with it. So it's an amazing opportunity, and we can't forget that we're right where we are with everyone else. And it's a beautiful, beautiful experience. So, all right, well, there we go. That's it for tonight. Lovely reading about humility today. A soul-nourishing one, actually. Because if you can remember this stuff that it's talking about, you can do pretty well in a day. You can find a lot of peace. So I appreciate everyone for jumping on and listening to me tonight. And I'm looking forward to seeing December progress on. So until next time, thanks.